Nathan and I have made hundreds of Dynasty trades, and we help answer Dynasty trade questions literally hundreds of times a week. So this is literally what we do with our lives, and we have our secrets all in one place with some good examples. So if you play Dynasty and you make trades, which if you play Dynasty, you better make trades, or you're bad at Dynasty, or you're lame at Dynasty, then you need to watch this video. Don't click off, because I'm telling you, this is important. Let's talk about the process of trading. So here's typically what happens when Nathan and I receive a trade. Like, this is what we do when we get a trade in our inbox, and this is what I would recommend that all of you do as well. So we'll receive an offer, and we'll look at, okay, and usually Nathan and I have one of three reactions. Either we're like, are you kidding me? Or we're like, or we're like, oh, wow, dang. But regardless of what the reaction is, our process never changes. We have a very consistent process that we go through. Obviously, the first thing that's going to be really important here as you get a trade offer is to know your team. We talk all the time about how trades are team specific. Every team, every league is different. This is where it's super important to know what's your 3-year outlook, what's your team archetype, what moves did we recommend that you make, because at that point, the more you know about the long-term and short-term plans for your team, the more informed a decision you can make about if you should take a trade or not. And so evaluating your team is crucial. That's one of the first things, is just making sure I know what's my short-term goal, what's my next year goal for the team, and what's my long-term goal. Am I in a hard rebuild? Am I a wide receiver factory that's ready to contend? Am I a dual elite QB that's ready to contend? Am I well-rounded? Am I a one-year reload, so I'm just gathering value? That's really important to know, and it's really important for making the correct trades. But the most important step that we make every single time we get a Dynasty trade, I can tell you right now, Nathan and I have answered probably at this point tens of thousands of trade questions, maybe up to 100,000. I mean, I don't know. We answer a lot, and every time, and when we do this for our job, every time we get a trade offer, we message one another. Every single time I get a trade, I send it to him. And every time he gets a trade offer, I know it because he sends it to me. After all of these years of playing Dynasty, and all of these years of making Dynasty trades, and all of the hours and hours and days and weeks and months and years of making Dynasty content, the first thing I do when I get a trade is I send it to Nathan. And that's not just Nathan. I'll send it to people on the domain staff. I'll send it to people in the Discord. Bottom line is, I'm checking the market. Do not ever take a trade without getting multiple opinions on it. That's really the only way that you can make trades in Dynasty without completely shooting yourself in the foot. And down the road, maybe you'll look back and you win a few, you lose a few. Hopefully you're winning more than you're losing. But really, truly, the only way that we have found to never screw up. Like, Nathan and I will get trades. A lot of times when we're doing a blueprint, we'll be looking and people like, I've traded this guy for this guy, this guy for this guy, this guy for this guy. And a lot of times we'll look at a trade and be like, yeah, I wish you hadn't done that. What can you do to actually make sure that doesn't happen again? Get multiple opinions. The market will not lie to you about a player's value. And there are multiple ways to do this. Dynasty rankings are good. If you are into rankings, Nathan and I obviously have rankings posted over on the site. Dynasty ADP, we try to post real ADP data so you can get an actual gauge on what real money leagues, where they're drafting players. Discord posts. We have a whole section in our Discord where you can create a post, give the context of your team, give the trade, and you're going to get advice from our community, which is a ton of people, and Nathan and I. And then also, direct message your favorite creators. Nathan and I answer messages literally every single day, all year round, and they're pretty much all trade questions. But those are just a couple of ways that you can make sure that you're not losing the trade from a market value standpoint. At that point, we have some more specific trade strategy points that I'll let Nathan start to get into. And in terms of how we negotiate it, because negotiating is honestly, this is a little bit of psychology. Actually, it's a lot of bit of psychology, and we use this to our advantage when we are trading ourselves.
Yeah, no, it's a ton of psychology. And I was literally just DMing one of our supporters over in the Discord, GH Steel, who's been working on converting a hard rebuild to a contending team in the matter of 3 months. But I was literally telling him there was a league mate that was interested in 2 of his players on his team. And he was like, hey, I might be able to pull off kind of a steal here because I've done it in the past. And I told him, I was like, honestly, there's not a ton of pressure on you in this negotiation for you to be the one who makes the starter deal. There's a lot of times where when you have someone in your league that's interested in a player, one of my favorite things to do when I get a notification on Sleeper and someone clicks on the heart on the player, and then you get that noti and it's like X person is interested in CD Lamb. I won't send them an offer. I'll send them a DM and I'll say, hey, send me an offer. I'm not going to let you put the burden of me coming up with a deal for you when you're the one that's interested in the player, right? You've got to get them to get the ball rolling to get it started, because what does that do to them? That puts the pressure on them to get something done if they really want to make it happen.
Leverage.
Leverage, number one thing there. So make sure you know your league and take advantage. I mean, I mentioned CeeDee Lamb. Do you have a Cowboys fan in your league? Do you play with a Danny from FSE?
Thank you for saying Danny. I literally was going to say we have to put a picture of Danny up.
Yeah.
Get a picture of Danny up. I love Danny. And Danny's a great Dynasty player, by the way. He does it. But that man gets emotional about anything Cowboys related. Toy with people's emotions.
Yeah, absolutely. So it doesn't have to be a Cowboys fan. It can be a Bears fan. It can be a Lions fan. It can be a Colts fan, as we have learned ourselves, because we get emotional about Colts players sometimes too, and have overpaid and overinvested in Colts players in the past as well. There are ways that you can take advantage there for sure. Do not play Dynasty with your heart. I mean, again, with the negotiation stuff and knowing your league, we have literally done an entire video on just knowing your league. Like, that's how important it is to understand that league value. Again, we started with market value in this video. Market value only goes so far because that's a 30,000 foot view. Your league value is where you can really like practically get a deal done within the league economy that you're playing in. Always be sending counter offers even if you get a fair deal up front. What we've seen more often than not is an initial offer is kind of that safe range. If you're getting an offer from someone from someone in your league and he's like, hey, I want to give you CeeDee Lamb and I want JSN and Deebo Samuel. And you're like, gosh dang, I'll just take that right now. I'll just take CeeDee Lamb right now. That's an instant value win. If that was his first offer, you have our permission to be a little bit greedy and try to get a little bit more. If that
Absolutely.
was the first,
they're never going to lead with their best offer.
They're never going to lead with their best offer.
And if you do, you're bad. Here's the thing. And this is it's a practical trade strategy point here for you as well. Never start with your best offer. But there's something that goes along with that. Never start with your best offer, but also don't lowball people. Anybody who's played Dynasty for more than 6 months is going to be like, why did you lowball me, dude? I know better than to take this deal. It doesn't make any sense for you to go and lowball somebody. You're just wasting people's time. And I'll be honest with you, as somebody who's played Dynasty for a lot of years now, I ignore lowballs. I got an offer from somebody even just a couple weeks ago. And he was like, hey, I'll send you George Kittle and Jalen Coker for T. Higgins. And I'm like, my man, why did you even send me this offer? Like, you're clearly not serious about making a deal. If you really want to get Dynasty deals done, make a decent offer. Obviously send an offer where you're getting a clear market value win, but you can still do that and not send a low ball. And I think that's really important because people will get completely turned off from trading with you in Dynasty if you just send low balls all the time.
Well, because a lot
feelers, we call them feelers. Bull crap. Be a real Dynasty player and send real Dynasty trades.
Yeah, and a lot of negotiating is it's relational. You're trying to maintain and sustain a relationship with your league mate when you're making trades so that you can not only get this deal done now, but get more deals done in the future. So if you just become that guy in the league who everyone knows sends low balls and isn't serious about making actual trades that are like mutually beneficial, then you're not gonna be very successful when it comes to making enough trades to build small value wins in Dynasty Fantasy Football. So we do have that example.
I need to say this also because this doesn't apply to, and we'll blur the names out, whatever. I don't want to put anybody on blast, but it's in a domain listener league. And so it's completely different if you're playing in a home league. You know what the definition of a low ball is in a home league, right? You can offer George Kittle and Jalen Coker for T. Higgins in your home league if you'd like to, because in a home league that might get done. But if you're playing with people sit and watch our channel and are in our community, you really think I'm going to do that? Well, he offered it to me too. Like, why would I do this, dude? He's in a listener league with me. Like, why am I doing this? Anyways.
So all that to say, there's a lot that goes into negotiations, and I think part of it is when you were mentioning, like, don't start with your best offer. Don't get desperate. Don't get so much take lock. Don't get take lock on a player or take lock on a deal or getting a deal done. You don't have to get a deal done if you're not comfortable with it. You can back out and just say, hey, if this guy's pushing you further over the edge than where you wanted to go, you can just say, hey man, we're getting to a point where I'm just not comfortable making this deal anymore. I'm going to back out. Don't get desperate and don't, what you can do, and what I would encourage you to do, is try to get your league mates to get desperate so that you can take advantage of them. But be aware that even just because you like a player, just because I really like Rashee Rice and I would like to have him in a lot of my leagues, doesn't mean that I'm going to go pay Lad McConkey and 2 seconds for him. That's just not a good move, right? Even though I think that Rashee Rice is a really good value right now, that's we're going to give you examples of moves that are just straight up value losses, value wins as well. But try not to hype up the players that you're selling as well. Like, this is just, again, part of the psychology of negotiating. If you're trying to talk up someone that you're trying to offload on your team,
that's dumb.
Then like the first question they're going to ask you is, well, then why are you trying to offload them if you really think they're that good?
Rookie mistake.
It's a bad idea. Don't talk up the guys you're selling. You don't have to say that you think they're crap either. Here's what does work, though, and what I've seen works is very effective. Number one, I don't go into a deal expecting to get a landslide win in terms of value. I realize that I have to sacrifice some value, even though I think I'm going to end up winning the trade ultimately. What I usually do with guys that I'm negotiating with, look, what I've seen that works really well in these types of negotiations is you can speak positively about a player that you're trying to move off of, but not too much where you're like, hey, I like this guy, but ultimately I want to move off of him because I don't think he fits for my team. That's a very honest answer. And what you can say is, I believe that this player, given your current build, your current situation as a true contender, and I'm a reload, this guy's going to treat your team better than he's going to treat mine. So think about it in that way, and make sure that when you're really making these deals, we're going to have some practical trades here, starting with kind of some deals that involve crap on the trade offer, where you've got like multiple thirds, maybe a couple of fourths, a guy like Tucker Kraft, and you have these bigger assets involved in the deal. Remove the crap and add valuable throw-ins if you're actually going to do a deal of a caliber of like a Jalen Hurts, TJ Hawkinson in the 107 for Kyler, Drake London, and the 104. You notice there that I don't mention Tucker Kraft, I don't mention the 25 third, and I don't mention the 26 third, because guess what?
They don't matter.
They don't matter. Not in a deal of this caliber.
They don't matter.
They do not matter at all. So make sure that when you're looking at those types of deals, you don't just see the quantity of assets on one side versus the quantity of assets on the other, and you're like, oh, it actually kind of evens out. It's like a little balanced scale. No. That's just your visual. That's just your visual OCD. Okay, like I understand that. But at the end of the day, you want to make sure that value-wise, you should have value OCD, not visual OCD when you're looking at the sleeper trade offer. Yeah. So get rid of that crap. Get valuable throw-ins if you want to get any throw-ins at all.
Yeah, and one more thing. I'm literally giving away my secret here. I know this, but you guys really support us, and I don't want to withhold any information that I use to win in my Dynasty leagues. Don't be afraid to act a little bit in your trade negotiations. I cannot tell you how many times I've put somebody on the trade block, gotten an offer, and been like, you know, I've got 3 other offers for this guy, and honestly, there's one I like better than yours. Like, I mean, I know I'm telling you to lie, and I like morally,
I've done it before too.
Morally, I'm not telling you that lying is okay, but I do lie in Dynasty sometimes, and ultimately the trophy lies with me at the end of the season, because sometimes it works and I actually get deals done. Because
for every 5 times, every 5 times that you fail, it works once. And
honestly, I will say, like, stretching the truth and being a little bit dramatic in your trade negotiations, as stupid as it sounds and is, it works actually more than 1 in 5 times. Yeah. It probably works 1 in 3 in my opinion. But let's talk about some, with all of that in mind. And let's talk about some specific trade examples now and some trading mistakes that we don't like. Number 1, down tiering too far. Obviously, you know, we get some heat because people are like, okay, why are we down tiering from these top end, elite, amazing assets in Dynasty? You have the best player and you immediately down tier? How could you? Why would you? Or should you? Dr. Seuss. But really, you know, we've tried to explain this best we can. There's always a method behind our madness. Each team, each league is different, and we wouldn't tell you to down tier from a top-end asset, an Allen, a Burrow, a Justin Jefferson, a Jamar Chase. We would never, ever, ever, ever tell you to sell one of those guys if we didn't feel like you had to. Ever. Because ultimately, Jamar Chase will win you a fantasy football championship. Ultimately, Joe Burrow, he could win you a fantasy football championship. He has more upside than the guys you're down tiering to. We'll never tell you to down tier when we don't think you have to. But one of the most common mistakes is, you know, we recommend so many down tiers because we get so many teams that are like, hey, I need help. And it's rare that we get a team where it's like, you don't have to down tier from anybody because you're elite, right? We have those teams, but a lot of people are coming to us because they're like, hey, I want to get a second opinion on my team.
They have realistic teams that aren't elite value.
Correct, which happens. Yes. I have to down tier as well. But we see people, we'll do a team review and they'll send us back, hey, I did what you said, I down tiered, and I sent Bijan Robinson for DJ Moore and James Cook, so I down tiered. Ooh. No, not that far. So down tiering too far is the mistake here. Make sure, here's some practical examples. If you're down tiering from a first round Dynasty startup wide receiver, you want to get to a second or third, at the least a third Dynasty startup wide receiver, okay? Third round startup. If you're down tiering from Bijan, Gibbs, Ashton Genty, you're going to want to get Amarian Hampton, Achane, Henderson, Judkins. I'm not even sure. At the point where you're down tiering to the tier of running backs where it's Jacobs, JT, Kyron, I'm not even sure it's a down tier. I think you're getting multiple deals, multiple guys at that level, that value level there. So, like, I don't think you can go past, like, that second tier guys, Judkins, Barkley, those guys. Like, I don't think you can go past those guys. So, really, like, you know, practically speaking, we're probably saying don't down tier more than, like, 1 or 2 tiers, especially from your elite guys. I would say closer to 1 is better because, again, the less you can actually down tier from a value standpoint and the more you're able to get on top, the more of a value win it is for you, right? And that's really what it's all about. We're not trying to get off of elite players. And also, the further you down tier, you're down tiering into players that are not proven elite Dynasty assets. If you down tier from Bijan to Kyron might be out of a job next year. Like, that's super risky. But if you down tier from Bijan to Achane, you know Achane's going to be on the field and he's going to have a job next year, right? And you know he's also got 20 point per game upside. So you're getting the production upside and you're also getting the security and his value. And so down tiering too far is a common mistake. Again, there's an example. You know, when you down tier to James Cook, first of all, you're down tiering 5-6 tiers there. And then DJ Moore on top. DJ Moore is not anything. Again, if you're down tiering from a second round Dynasty startup like Bijan, like a startup pick, you need to get a third or fourth rounder as your main asset on top, for sure. Next one here.
Yeah, so too many assets in the deal. I think this is something that can be very, very easy, an easy trap to fall into, and you can end up sacrificing a lot of value if you do it. Not always, but like seriously, this is something that like we're guilty of doing. Plenty. We have been guilty of doing this. We just did it this last week, where like at the end of the day, you might prefer one side, someone might prefer the other side, but really, like, does it really benefit you to offload a large handful of players to get another handful back when you're essentially just trading half of your team for another half of the team? This is a deal that we did where we down tiered from Lamar, we got Jalen Hurts, we down tiered from Nico, we got Garrett Wilson, and the premium on top that we got was DK at 26 first, Trey Harris, and the other side was like Jameson Williams, B. Rob, and Jordan Mason. So like there are plenty of teams or plenty of opinions out there where like a lot of people thought that the Lamar side was a big winner. Some people thought that the Jalen Hurts side was a big winner. And at the end of the day, could we tell you which side actually won outright? Not really. And if someone had come to us and said, hey, I've got this deal, we probably just would have said, hold your side to one league mate, and we would have said, hold your side to the other league mate, the two guys that we're negotiating here. Again, this is something that like you can get caught up in just wanting to offload a player so bad or wanting to get another player so bad that the only way you can actually get that deal done for it to be approved by both sides is to just throw more and more players into the deal to try and find a point where like both sides agree, and you can end up losing a lot of value that way. So again, we're kind of being like trying to be as honest and realistic as we can here by including a deal that we literally did in a $250 league, a league or a team that we co-commish. This is kind of an end product of one of those things where you're just at the end of the day, you look at the deal and you're like, yeah,
it's tough. And honestly, like, I look at our deal and the reason I like our side better in this example about too many assets is because some of the assets we threw away, B. Rob, Jordan Mason, have very little value.
That's
upside.
true. Yeah.
Whereas on our side, the side we have Trey Harris, a 26 first, DK, Garrett Wilson, all have room to grow in value. And so really he gave up, that Trey Harris and the 26 first in that deal, like he probably should have held those guys for
Yeah, and I will say too, like the thing that made the difference in making that deal was throwing in B. Rob and Mason.
Which to us
was nothing.
Didn't matter.
Right.
So one big mistake here that I see a lot. I was negotiating a trade with my boy Willis here recently in a deal where I got Bijan Robinson, and I won't give you the whole deal or even the whole process because it was a long negotiation process, multiple days, even a week, I think. But he was like, hey, I have your offer, where I was sending him a Tet McMillan plus some on top, so he was down tiering to a wide receiver there on a rebuild. And he's like, I also have an offer where I'm getting some 27 and 28 firsts. And I'm like, my man, I'm biased because I'm in this negotiation with you, but message Nathan so you know I'm not lying to you. Do not trade Bijan for 27 and 28 firsts. The mistake here is trading for firsts that are way too far out. Again, y'all, I can't say this enough. 27 and 28 first are some of the worst investments in Dynasty right now. 27s are better now because 27s at least now with 27s, it's 2 years away instead of 3. Like at least we're past the draft now and they gained some value just now. So 27s aren't terrible, but I still do not want to buy them right now. If you're even thinking about contending, you're not buying 27 first because again, you're not gonna be, you shouldn't be. Here's the thing about a 27 first, you buy one, you're stuck with it because otherwise you shouldn't be trading them once you get them. You have to hold them.
Yeah, we're almost never recommending for you to move your 27 first. That'd be dumb to recommend that you trade a first that far out before it reaches maturity value.
But 28 first, I mean, if you are stacking or accumulating 28 first, like it is a fundamental misunderstanding of how to win at Dynasty. It really is. There is no way for me to sugarcoat the future picks thing. Like I have played long enough and traded my own share of very far out future first and gotten my own share of very far out future first. And I'm telling you confidently after doing it after a ton of trial and error, there's never a good reason to trade for a first that is 3 years out. Ever. Now, like, so this example, if I got asked this deal right here in my DMs, and I get deals exactly like this. Hey, I got this deal. Should I trade Jamar Chase because I can down trade a BTJ and get a 27 and 28 first on top? No, because again, you're dropping off, 4 or 5 points a game from Chase to Brian Thomas. You're contending, and that 27, 28 first, yes, it sounds like BTJ and 2 first, but let's look at the actual value of those things. A 27 first isn't going to help you win a championship for 2 years. A 28 first isn't going to help you for 3 years. Jamar's helping you win right now, and he has a very significant advantage from a production standpoint over BTJ in terms of how much they can actually move the needle in your playoffs. Chase will win you a week. He will drop 50 and win you a week. BTJ's awesome. I love him. He's a great dynasty asset. He's not Jamar Chase in fantasy football. You don't have Jamar Chases walking around. Justin Jefferson wasn't Jamar Chase this last year in fantasy football. Jamar Chase, when he plays like he did last year, I don't want to trade him if I can help it anywhere. And a 27 and 28 first, assets where if you're making a contending move aren't going to help you win for 2 years, it makes no sense to do that. I would much rather have proven players that can help me win now. I would much rather trade, from a value standpoint, you might say this makes no sense, but I would rather trade Chase for BTJ, Derrick Henry, give me another guy, like wide receiver in there, like a mid-round wide receiver.
Ayuk.
I would almost rather do that. But even like, a 5th round wide receiver, like even if you were like, okay, hey, you can send Jamar Chase, BTJ, and you get.
Oh, you're saying the side that when it would be worth it taking the BTJ
side. To prove my point, like I would take Chase Brown and I'm trying to think of a 5th round wide receiver and I can't at Jordan Addison.
Yeah.
Over first 2 or 3 years out.
Yeah, I got you.
Because Chase Brown and Jordan Addison are gonna help me win a championship, and you're like, oh, you'd take 2 firsts over. Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
So don't trade for first too far out.
Yeah. Also, let's not add assets that don't matter and assume that they're together going to result in the total value of a way more valuable asset, right? Like player X, who's worth value 75, is not equal to 3 assets that are each valued at 25 a piece. Right, you don't add those. There's essentially diminishing returns as you stack these nearly valueless assets on top. Like getting Omarion Hampton and moving him for DJ Giddens, Torrey Horton, and Trey Harris. Like that's an extreme example. Like
it's extreme.
That's pretty crazy. Like you can laugh at that, but you can say things like this don't happen in your league.
They do.
Your league is not everyone else's league. I am in a league where I saw someone move Ashton Genty for a 27 first straight up. Like it happens. So because they want Jeremiah Smith.
What league?
And I don't want to talk about it. I got really mad. But anyways, all that to say, these types of things, like when you're just adding all of these pieces of crap to hopefully add up to the sum, it's essentially like a horrible example of down tiering, but even worse. I wouldn't even consider this a down tier. It's just a throwaway.
I don't think anything irks me ever, and we've done content for a long time. I don't think anything irks me than the 27 first and Jeremiah Smith thing. I think legitimately that is my like number one trigger warning. Like I go straight full absolute.
Well, because it's like 5 times worse than the I have a 24 first, I'm going to get Marvin Harrison Jr. thing. Remember when 3 people thought they had Marvin Harrison Jr. in our league?
Yes. And again, like people who had Marv, what did they do? They traded it to 2 years for Marvin Harrison. They waited. So they got that first 2 years early, and then they got Marv, and now it's been 3 years because Marv didn't do anything to win you a championship last year. The same thing could happen to any of those receivers. We just don't know. Anyways, let's look at some dynasty trades we'd like. like, just real quick to wrap this up.
That's also assuming that he declares that year. If he doesn't declare, I will laugh so hard.
I can't even talk about it. Here's some trades we liked. This guy down tiered from Justin Jefferson, Jalen Waddle, and he down tiered to Puka. He got 2 firsts on top, a 26 and 27, which is much better than a 27 and 28. And he got Christian McCaffrey. This is a league-winning move. You get the upside of McCaffrey. You get Puka, who's also a great value-insulated stud wide receiver. I really like this one. It's a production lateral down tier.
So we see a lot of teams. We've done a lot of blueprints where people have like a 10-team start 8 league, and they're trying to maximize the production upside of their flex spot and upside. In an upside league, we even will have reloads sometime package assets together just to raise not only their value upside but production upside potential as well in those higher upside league formats. I will say with this deal specifically, Rashee Rice for Jalen Coker, a 27 first and 26 second, that I'm taking in any league format ever. But like for a guy like Coker, this is probably in a 12-team start 10 where he even has value, but that's a slam dunk up tier that you'd absolutely want to do. As a rebuild, I would recommend that a rebuild does this as well, because even though you're packaging assets to up tier to another player, what's the value upside of a guy like Rashee Rice versus someone like Jalen Coker and a future 27 first where you don't actually know where it's going to be? You just take the automatic value in a Rashee Rice now. This
trade I like to call the pile of garbage. And I did this. This is one of my most famous trades I ever made when I first started playing. I got Mahomes for free essentially, and it was like legendary.
Davis Mills was the deciding factor.
Yes, that was it. And Corey Davis was in there. I mean, it was great. But the pile of garbage trade. This guy traded for Derrick Henry, and he sent away Dalton Kincaid in the 208. He sent garbage for Derrick Henry. Like, what are you getting out of this deal if you're trading away Henry here? You traded away Dalton Kincaid. You get Dalton Kincaid back. Dalton Kincaid averages 7.8 points per game, fantasy points per game. Derrick Henry averages 19.8. It's 12 points every week. Like, Derrick Henry is the only good asset in this deal. The 208, the guy you're getting, that's nobody. You traded nothing for Derrick Henry. Nothing. That is nothing. You traded nothing. And then there's another one here. This guy, he got Kenneth Walker and Ricky Pearsall and traded away Waddle. That's it. He only traded Waddle. There's not these. I'm not reading Roman Wilson here, and I know Roman Wilson's technically the wide receiver too. I like Roman Wilson, and I know there's a second. It doesn't matter. This is a clear value win where he just basically threw in Waddle and then a bunch of crap and got 2 players that were, one guy value adjacent,
you can
another guy you got a huge value win.
So the next section of trades that we've got here are essentially just trades that we really like. We can't really categorize them necessarily. I guess you could put them in some of the categories that we mentioned earlier, but ultimately they're just deals that we like. We're just trying to give you examples because I know you like those guys, you appreciate them, or you like these examples. Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb, the 26 second. I don't even care about the stack. You're giving up Baker Mayfield, Dallas Goedert, Bo Nix, and a 26 third. So Dak and CeeDee for Baker and Bo Nix. Dak is a little bit less valuable than Baker right now. CeeDee Lamb is a round and a half more valuable than Bo Nix. You're throwing in Goddard and a third. You're getting a 26 second back. Like that's
market value.
That's just a market value win.
Yep. AJ Brown, Caleb Williams. You're sending away Anthony Richardson, so it doesn't matter in this deal. Again, when you have a 2nd round startup pick and a 4th round startup pick, Richardson does not matter as a 9th round startup pick. Yep. 203 doesn't matter. 26 second doesn't matter. You sent a 26 first for these guys. Maybe you can say the 203 matters. It has a little bit of value this year because maybe that's Luther Burden. Okay, you sent Luther Burden at 26 first, and you got AJ Brown and Caleb Williams. It's a huge market value win. It's too far of a down tier as well.
Yeah, this next one is Amon-Ra St. Brown and Josh Jacobs for Rashee Rice, Hawkinson, and the 107. This is essentially too far of a down tier from a guy like Amon-Ra St. Brown, where you're down tiering too far to a guy like Rashee, where you should be getting more of a premium on top than the 107. You can put Hawk and Jacobs in the same tier if you want to. I think Jacobs is still much more valuable than Hawkinson right now in Dynasty. But again, you got to make sure that if you are down tiering from one of those top assets, one of those top wide receivers, that you're getting a lot more than this. I can tell you confidently, we've seen so many of these types of deals go down where we're like, you sacrifice a lot of value when you own someone who is a top 12 to 15 Dynasty asset in terms of value, and you could have gotten, 75% more value return for a guy like that. So don't make that mistake when you're down tiering from one of those guys.
And then last one, Ladd McConkey in the 104. You send away Nico. It's essentially a down tier from Nico to Ladd in the 104. Komet is nothing in this deal, and Godwin is almost nothing in this deal as well.
Nothing, yeah.
So, it's just a great trade. And again, I promise you, you follow the advice that we gave you in this trade video, you will have very good trades, and it will result in good dynasty teams. We know it does, because not only have we done it ourselves, but we help literally thousands of people do this. It's what we do. Trading is an art. All of Dynasty really is trading. That's really what it is. Dynasty all is centered around one core action, and that is making trades. And if you can get really good at making trades, by default, you're going to be a very, very good Dynasty player. No question. So make sure if you enjoyed that, you drop a like, show some love. It's free. It's easy. It helps Nathan and I out a ton. It helps us grow the channel. Make sure you're subscribed as well if you play Dynasty. And also, we can help you with this. Like, again, we give personalized one-on-one advice to help you figure out what trades you should make. We'll get you a team blueprint. We'll get you everything you need. Your team archetype, your 3-year outlook, what moves you should make, who you should trade, who you should target, what types of moves you should make, etc. And we get that to you with the Discord, so you can get market value opinions. You get the site. You can check the trade calculator. You can check the rankings. Literally everything in this video that we told you to do is done 1,000 times easier if you're a member of the domain. So come join, come hang out with Nathan and I and all of our friends. We would love to have you. flockfantasy.com/domain, code domain. We'll unlock all that for you. But we appreciate you guys. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you later.